Hey everyone, Jay here. Welcome to another lab in Intro to Python series, Fall 2022. This one continuing on with functions. This is our third function lab. We're going to make a simple calculator, simple as in it's only going to add, subtract, multiply, and divide integers. Okay. And we're going to use functions that call another function. Okay, so let's get started in this one. Remember to have your shebang and your uh, comment doc at the top, and also remember to have your if name equals main section at the bottom. Make sure this is last, right? And then I have my main function here. So my main function is going to have my traditional while not game over loop. Okay, have a little welcome message. While not game over, I'm going to do all this stuff, and we'll come back to what that is doing. But essentially, that's going to uh, get some options from the user on whether or not they want to add, subtract, multiply, and divide. And based on the user's choice, I have my add, subtract, multiply, and divide functions right here. Let's look at those. So add int is my function. It doesn't take an argument. And then it's going to get A and get B using a function called getNumber. GetNumber is defined down here. So I'm going to get number. I'm going to pass it two strings. First one says first and add, and then I'm going to do again later, and it's going to say second and add. What are those things, right? So here I have my getNumber function, and it takes two arguments. And then it just returns, what does it return here? It's going to return, I'm casting as an integer. I'm getting some input from the user. Okay. Please enter the blank number to blank. Very cryptic, but based on the name of these things, place and action, and based on what I've given it, first and add. So it'll say, please enter the first number to add. That'll be what it says when I call it here, and then I'll get that to be A. And then for B, it'll say, please enter the second number to add. Okay, that's starting to come together, right? And then if I use the subtract, it'll say, please enter the first number to subtract, please enter the second number to subtract, and so on. First number to multiply, second number to multiply. So I'm doing a lot with one line of code right here, right? I'm getting some input from the user. I'm formatting the message to the user using the place and action variable that was passed to the function, taking that number, taking that input, casting it as an integer. So while you run this, make sure you type an integer or else you'll break things. We haven't covered what to do when somebody inputs the wrong thing yet. Then I'm returning that value, and it's going to return to one of these functions, whichever one called it. And I'm going to call this getNumber function at least 2 times every time this thing runs. And then once I get A and B, this function will return A plus B, the subtract function will return A minus B, the multiply function will return A times B, the divide function will return A divided by B. Right? When you're testing this out, make sure B is not 0 when you divide, because if you divide by 0, it breaks your program. Okay. So this is all the work part, right? Let's look at the main function. The previous version of this lab was a little more complicated. I kind of made it easier this time around. So I have my welcome message. I set game over to false, and then while not game over, we're going to continue to run all this. Okay, set choice, and we don't know what that is yet. Set choice to 0 and result to 1. Okay, so we're going to prompt the user, which my nice comment says. We're going to print these lines. Make a selection from the menu below. Tab over. That's what this key is right here, this little code. Enter 1 for addition, 2 for subtraction, 3 for multiplication, 4 for division, and 0 to exit. And once I've prompted the user, I'm going to input enter selection, turn that to an integer. Don't forget to cast that as an integer, because if you'll see my elif ladder right here, my Python switch, if choice is equal to the number 1. So if you fail to cast this and you just leave it as input, that would be the text character 1, which is not the same as the integer 1. Right? If choice is 1, result equals add int. And remember, I don't need to pass any values to add int because it's self-contained. It does all the work within itself. Right? It's going to call the get number, and it's going to get A and B, and it's going to add them, and it's going to return the result of that, right down here. And the result that it returns will be stored in the result variable. And right, so if they chose 2, it's going to call subtract int, and the same thing will happen. If they chose 3, it's going to call multiply int. If they chose 4, it's going to call divide int. And if they chose anything else, if they input anything else, ideally any other number, right, then game over equals true. Okay. If game over is still not true at this point, okay, then I'm going to print the solution is whatever result is after having called one of these functions. Now, the reason I have to check game over is not being true, again, inside the loop and at the end of the loop, I'm not changing game over value here. I'm just saying if it's still not true, because if and when the user eventually inputs a 0 to end, I then don't want to do the math, ask them for a number, show a solution, and then end. Or I don't even want to show a solution with a bad result, maybe a result of 1 or something. I don't want to show this part of the code at all if the user has selected to end the program. So I have to check, did the user not select to end the program? If they did not, and all these things ran, then I will output the solution. Now I could have output the solution in each function, could have had a little present solution function down here and called that every time. Could do that, but I want to put it up in here instead. All right, so after the solution is shown, then I'll print goodbye outside of the loop. Have my little breakpoint commented out. I won't be using that. I'm not in VS Code right now. I'm not debugging. Let's open up some room for the output, and we'll run this code. Oh, I think I left it running from last time. Here we go. Let's run it again. There we go. And I'm my welcome message, right? Welcome to the simple Python integer calculator. Make a selection from the menu below. And notice I put this character here where I tabbed over every time so that the menu appears here. And then I enter my selection and I'll put in a 1. Please enter the first number to add. All right, so we'll add a 5. Please enter the second number to add. Let's add 5 plus 5. Solution 10. And then it continues on. Please make a selection from the menu below. Let's try division. Let's go from the easiest to the hardest. Please enter the first number to divide. We're going to divide 9 by 3. I know this one. Solution is 3.0. Now, if you run all this, you'll notice that pretty much everything is going to be a whole number except for when you divide, where I was going to get a floating point number. And that's just the way computers do math, right? And that's okay. We could format the solution, but that's not really what this lab is about. So we're not going to worry about that. And I'll put 0 for my exit condition and it says goodbye. And it doesn't give me the solution, right? Because I said I didn't want to see the solution when I've chosen to exit at the very end. Okay, so this is the type of output that you should get based on all of the input above. Let's show you this and give you a chance to copy for your assignment. Here's the beginning of the main. Let's see, there's the main. All right, pause to copy. Here's the bottom of the main. Pause that. And here are all the additional functions. And don't forget that if name equals main at the very end. If you fail to put that at the end, if you put it before the main, it won't work. Remember that. All right, and then one last time, here's the output that you can expect to get, or some of the output. I only did addition and division, but I think you can figure out what the rest is going to look like. All right, well, that's all I have for this lab. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.